Ah, there you are. Welcome. This is the 25th Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard podcast, and we are off to a cracking start. And it's an old favourite that I like to start with in the past. It is Tex Beneke and Cherokee Canyon.
When the sun sinks in the west, there's a place where I go to rest in Cherokee Canyon, near Tennessee Rock, where the stars shine in the sky and the breeze sings a lullaby in Cherokee Canyon, near Tennessee Rock. I love to ride over land where desert sand stretches out so wide. But when the night comes again, there's a yen when homeward I ride. Then for certain I know, wherever I roam, that I always will dream of my home in Cherokee Canyon, near Tennessee Rock. For certain I know, wherever I roam, that I always will dream of my home in Cherokee Canyon, near Tennessee Rock.
Whoa, if Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard was to have a signature tune, I might not mind it being that. That was Tex Beneke and Cherokee Canyon. Now, Tex Beneke was an integral part of the Glenn Miller Band. He was a saxophonist, singer, and latterly a band leader. But his voice is actually on Chattanooga Choo Choo, so he really was quite an important part of the Glenn Miller sound. Born in 1914 and had a right good old long life, died in 2000. We're going to calm it down a bit now, and if you've listened to other episodes of Forgotten Songs, you will know that I really do like Leslie. Oh, sorry, I was just looking at my record deck there, realising it was on the wrong speed. Leslie Hutchinson. So we've got a couple from him coming up, starting with this sad one, really.
And keep asking me about you, and don't stop to think of what they say. They keep reminding me, while tears are blinding me. All the memories make me feel this way. But I'm not crying, there's rain in my eyes. I'm not to blame if a little raindrops fall. It was raining when you said goodbye. It got in my eye, how that you've got away. Every day is a rainy day. I was happy. I'm lucky someone knows, but I can't believe it's over. Someone found you, I lost you, and that's how it goes. But I'm not crying. What good would it do? What good would it do? But when I think of you, there's rain in my eyes. Lucky someone knows, but I can't believe it's over. Someone found you, I lost you, and that's how it goes. So I'm not crying. What good would it do? What good would it do? But when I think of you, there's rain in my eyes. Laughter and song and swing goes turning. When will these things be more than yearning? Come back, my world, with bright lights burning. My London, I love. I only have to close my eyes, and the visions of our love of life change though she may be, yet I shall always see my London as the daylight dies. Street lamps aglow and newsboys calling. The city I know with twilight falling. Deep in my heart I keep recalling the London I love. Small cozy bars and cheerful greeting, long lines of cars and lovers meeting. Under the stars our heart is beating. London I love. Breathless and fast the crowd hurries past. There's a glow in the London sky, velvety dark. The trees in the park touch my heart, and I don't know why. Mayfair Hotel, their windows beam, the chiming of bells, the river gleaming. You are my dream, I'm always dreaming. Miranda, I love. Gay theater cues and first night glories, late final news had waiter stories. But dearest of all that I adore is the London I love. Flowers in the street, their perfumes sprang, the rhythm of deep dance music playing. With every beat my heart keeps saying, bright-colored lights, palladium nights, and a world that was always gay. All you have been will stay evergreen in my heart till another day. Laughter and song and swing doors turning. When will these things be more than yearning? back my world with bright light running. The London I love.
Well, I thought it was best not interrupt Leslie Hutch Hutchinson there. That was, you heard, There's Rain in My Eyes, recorded on the 30th of August 1938, and afterwards The London I Love, recorded in March 1941. Leslie Hutch Hutchins was born in British, as it was called then, British Grenada in 1900. And he was due to train as a doctor and went to the US for that purpose. But his father sent him there and he absconded because he had no intention, because he liked music and he liked singing. And let's say he liked life. So he ended up in New York. He played piano, slowly learnt all the new genres of piano playing and music that were happening at that time, blues and jazz, stride piano, this kind of stuff, and played with some very early exponents in jazz and in blues, and then eventually got his way to Paris. Talk about following where all the action was. Friend to Josephine Baker, friend to an awful lot of people, and it would appear lover to an awful lot of people as well, including Cole Porter and Edwina Mountbatten and Tallulah Bankhead. But I don't have enough time here to go through the list of Hutch's lovers. Anyway, great book I'm reading. Thanks, Francis, for that. What a life. It reads like it would make an amazing film. Right, change of pace certainly now. Forgotten Songs is all about change of genre, pace, and types of music. The essential thing is that these are little played or sometimes forgotten songs. And I haven't really played before organ music. It's not one of my favourite types of music, but I really quite like this. And this is from a man who was immensely popular, Reginald Foort. It's slightly dreamy, actually. Wow. There we are. Well, that certainly was different. That's the first time I've played a Wurlitzer organ music on Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard. And that was, as I said, Reginald Foort. That's Foort, so it might be a Foot. And it was from 1927, and it was the Wurlitzer organ at the New Gallery Cinema, Regent Street, London. And it was Only a Rose, the piece of music. Now, Reginald was one of the most successful organists of all time and played throughout the world in major cities where there was a Wurlitzer organ, obviously. So Paris, London, lots of cities in the US. But his debut on the Wurlitzer organ, publicly playing, was in Edinburgh, amazingly enough. He became the staff organist at the BBC in 1936, and in 1937 was voted most popular entertainer, beating Vera Lynn and fellow organist Reginald Dixon. In 1938, he designed and commissioned a mobile organ to be built, which subsequently went around the country performing in different areas of Britain. When we say mobile, it was actually 30 tons and required a staff of 13 and 5 lorries to transport. He eventually moved to the US and settled there and continued to perform. Right, mobile organs. Well, we're going to move on now to something just a little more Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard, really. I have played this before, but just as a title alone, it is worth... It's another one of these odd, shall we say, records. Completely mad. It's dinner music for a pack of hungry cannibals. Well, what more can you say? Is it me, Or is that slightly mad? That was dinner music for a pack of hungry cannibals from the Bob Hamiton Trio, recorded in 1939. And the keen-eared of you will have noticed that there was an electric organ in there. That was the Hammond organ, which was only developed in 1935. So the next couple of that track and the next one are people who were early exponents of the Hammond organ. It certainly revolutionised, if you like, organs, electric organs, keyboards, of course, and certainly was not 30 tons. So up next, and this goes to listeners out in West Virginia, this is the Milt Herth Trio, and I want to go back to West Virginia. Bit fuzzy there, excuse me, at the end, but nonetheless, two great Hammond organ tracks. That was the Milt Herth Trio. I want to go back to West Virginia. Vocals by Jimmy Blair and recorded in New York City in 1942. As I say, Milt, just like Bob Hamiton, was an early exponent of the Hammond organ. He was a pianist. But Jimmy Blair, I could find nothing about him except there is a Jimmy Blair who led a Scottish dance band in the late 50s. I don't suppose it's the same person, but nonetheless, interesting. Now, we're back to more big band stuff. We play a lot of big band stuff on Forgotten Songs because there are just so many 78s there. And let me explain again a little bit about Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard. It's a trawl through the collection of the Living Memory Association's records. It is and will be largely 78s we play here now, but the whole idea is that we do not play the popular artists and songs. You won't hear, I don't think you're going to be hearing much Bing Crosby or the big players. What we want to do is introduce and find out the artists and songs that have been forgotten or are just not played very much. And a little bit of organ music we had earlier is a perfect example of an artist who was hugely popular and is now forgotten. And that's what it says at the front of the show, isn't it? I'll stop waffling and let's get more into the big band sound. And we have up Bud Freeman and the Suma Cum Laude Orchestra, or Summer Cum Laude Orchestra. Apparently, Suma, it must be Latin, cum laude, Laude, is when people get really good degrees in the US, they are said to have had be a member, if you like, of this elite band of really good degrees, and they use that Latin term. This is, let me have a book called Big Boy. Excellent. Bud Freeman there and his orchestra, and he had that orchestra only between 1939 and 1940, so not a great long time. He was said to be one of the most influential saxophonists, tenor saxophonists of the big band era, and he played in a lot of bands. Born in Chicago, worked in New York City. He was an Anglophile and actually moved to Britain in 1974 and stayed for quite a long time with the broadcaster and jazz musician Jim Cain. He became known as the Anglo-saxophonist by them, and he was, bizarrely, this is rather bizarre, he was a Scrabble devotee. How about that? Has that anything to do with jazz? Maybe it's the jumble up of words and notes. More big band, and it's about time we had a female on here. This is Paula Green and her orchestra, and Paula Green, British, from Blackpool.
What more can I say? Believe me,
sum up all that I feel for you. But what good are phrases? The force that amazes is you love me, and it's heavenly. So deeply, oh, one thing you said, but one thing I want you to know. I've loved you since heaven knows when. Then I said it again.
Paula Green and her orchestra from, I think, there's no actual date, but I would say late 1940s. Paula Green, as I said, was born in Blackpool in 1917, sang with Joe Loss and even Glenn Miller at one time, and she became one of the singers in the BBC radio wartime series called Itmar, which was hugely popular, stands for It's That Man Again, with Tommy Handley. And then she was in Ensa, travelling round the troops throughout, actually, some quite exotic locations: Iraq, Persia, India and Ceylon, as part of the entertainments there. And I love this part, actually. I don't know why, but in the 1950s, she stopped performing and became a telephonist. And she retired from that job in her early 60s. I like that. I don't know why. It has just... it's good. It's good. Good story. Now, more big band. This is Shuffle Off to Buffalo, which I believe is from the film musical 42nd Street. You'll know it anyway.
My clothes, you go get your these and thosies, and away we'll go. Off we're gonna shuffle off the Buffalo. To Niagara in the sleeper, there's no honeymoon that's cheaper, and the train goes slow. Off we're gonna shuffle off the Buffalo. Someday the stork may pay a visit and leave a little souvenir, just a little cute, what is it? But we'll discuss that later, dear. And for a little silver quarter, you can have the Pullman porter turn the lights down low. Now off we're gonna shuffle off the Buffalo.
You can't really beat a song that starts and finishes with train noises, can you? That was Shuffle Off to Buffalo by the Don Bestor Orchestra. And as I say, from it is from the film 42nd Street, which is any Busby Berkeley film is worth looking at. There are some outrageous dancing sequences in that, and the Gold Diggers, I would imagine that might well have been sung by Dick Powell in the film. Anyway, Don Bestor is credited as leading one of the best bands of the 1920s, Benson Orchestra of Chicago. And in 1926, Bestor recorded I've Got a Girl, and it had a vocal refrain. One of the vocalists was Bing Crosby, and that is credited as being the first time he is caught on record. Change of pace. And a cough. And a glass of water, I think. Anyway, we're going cowboyish now. So as I say, in Forgotten Songs, we go all over the place.
Wagon trail, guide me to my home as you wind across the plain. Wagon trail, no more will I roam if you guide me home again. Through the sand and gravel we'll keep turning. Down the trail we'll travel to where someone's yearning. Lead the way over hill and dale. Take me to my darling wagon trail. Trail, guide me to my home as you wind across the plain. Wagon trail, no more will I roam if you guide me home again. Through the sand and gravel we'll keep a-turning. Down the trail we'll travel to where someone's yearning. Lead the way over hill and dale. Take me to my darling wagon trail. Lead the way over hill and dale. Take me to my darling wagon trail.
Red River Dave with Wagon Trail from 1944, and I managed to clear my throat with a bit of yodeling and yee-haw there, very much in that vein, isn't it? A cheesy cowboy song, I would say. Red River Dave was artist, musician and singer, and strangely enough, of topical songs. So he started off on rodeos, yodeling and doing rope tricks. And he performed topical songs, e.g. one about Amelia Earhart, Last Flight. And if you on YouTube, you can hear him singing this, the absolutely bizarre, and this is the 60s, Californian hippie murders, which seems to be a song about the Charles Manson slaughter. Yeah. Now, that's interesting. It's on a record label I'm not really familiar with, a US one, which is Sonora Records, and the tagline for that is "Clean as a Bell." They started off as a record player company and making pianos. But went on to have their own record label. Now, I don't mind a bit of country. I thought I was never a country fan, but I think Al Dexter is more the way to go for me, really. And also I love the fact that it is billed. You know you're going to get something good if it's billed as a hot string band. And this is called When We Go Honky Tonking.
I've got that. We do this and we do that when we go honky-tonkin'. If it's cold or if it's hot, we start drinking what we've got when we go honky-tonkin'. I love her ginger and that's my failing. When we get tight just like a kite and then we go a-sailing. We all laugh the hip-hop-flop, never know just when to stop when we go honky-tonkin'. And I've got that. We do this and we do that when we go honky-tonkin'. If it's cold or if it's hot, we start drinking what we've got when we go honky-tonkin'. I love her ginger and that's my failing. When we get tight just like a kite and then we go a-sailing. We all laugh the hip-hop-flop, never know just when to stop when we go honky-tonkin'.
Well, there's a little bit rougher journey that, but what a lovely song that, isn't it? That is Al Dexter, When We Go Honky Tonking, and it was recorded on the 23rd of April 1942 at Burroughs Sawmill Studio, Saginaw, Texas, which the Light Crust Doughboys, another Western swing band, are associated with. Al helped popularise honky-tonk country, and I think that was a good example of it. And his big hit was Pistol Packin' Mama, which earned him close to $250,000 in royalties from Republican Pictures and became the marching song of the New York Yankees. So, I mean, $250,000 was a hell of a lot of money back then. He's the first country singer to play Broadway. Following his death, they found 50 master tapes of stuff that he'd recorded. You are listening to Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard, and this comes from Thelma FM, and it comes from the Living Memory Association, a reminiscence project based here in Edinburgh, and we run the Wee Museum of Memory at Ocean Terminal Shopping Centre here in Leith, or at least we do when we're not going through a pandemic and lockdown. But I am in the studio doing these recordings just to put something out. Now, this is, as Monty Python would say, now for something completely different. I don't know how far we're going to go with this record. And if there's anyone out there that knows exactly what it's about, please contact me. And you can contact me, actually. The email is songsfrom the Broom Cupboard, songs from the Broom Cupboard at gmail.com. This is Japanese and it is mid-50s and it is, yes, indeed, on a 78 record. Let's see what it's all about. Well, do you know, I actually quite enjoyed that. I don't entirely know, well, obviously I don't know at all what that was about. It is on the Teichiku record label, and Teichiku are still operating in Japan, and they're just Teichiku Entertainment. I reckon it is 1953 to 55. They changed their labelling in 1953, and it's post the change. So an interesting one. It would be nice to know what it's about. I think they still, part of their output is actually traditional Japanese music. So I would imagine that is certainly in those lines. And probably there'll be a few more people that might be listening that might actually understand this one. But this is Lulu Zeigler. And this is in Danish, and I rather like this. Very cabaret.
Et sted hvor himmel mødes med hav, sejler en mand, jeg har kendt. Hans hud var mørk som solgylden drag, saltet af skumsprøjt og vind. I en skummel dansebude, hvor der stanker øl og røg, kom han slendrende en aften mod mig midt i særens støj. Han var skønnere end andre i sin gamle slidte skjorte, og han vagte længsler i mig, som jeg troede længst var borte. Himlen er blå, havet er grønt, luk vinduet op for brisen. Han tog min hånd og helt Vi gik fra barens larmende kor ud i den sovende by. Til et gammelt hus ved kajen gik jeg med den tavse mand, bare gik ved siden af ham, uden tanke og forstand. Og vi sang i nattens mørke, hørte bare blodets sang, til de natteblege bølgers tyste akkompagnement. Himlen er blå, havet er grønt, luk vinduet op på brisen. Et sted hvor himmel mødes med hav, sejler et mand, jeg har kendt. I tavse fountain han tog og gav, før han igen slendrede bort. Og han gik ombord på skibet, og jeg så ham sejle ud. Han der aldrig kendte angst for hverken fanden eller Gud. På et skib, hvis navn jeg kender, sejler manden uden navn, bort mod fjerne horisonter, til en ny, en anden havn. Himlen er grå, havet er sort, luk vinduet i
Well, what did you think of that? I thought that was tremendous, isn't it? It's very, very laid back and sort of, I suppose, you would deliveries, well, sort of Marlene Dietrich, but not really. Obviously, it's not that sort of material. That was Lulu Zeigler, and it was actually recorded on the 3rd of February 1948. You will forgive, if you speak Danish, my mashup of pronunciation. I think it's pronounced Vic Ein, and it's At the Docks. She was a Danish actress and cabaret singer, made her debut in 1926. Very subversive opinions and leanings, shall we say, leftist leanings, and friend of Bertolt Brecht. And she was in several films from the 1930s into the 1970s. I think we'll be playing her again. We're going to go straight to Shepfields and his Rippling Orchestra, I believe. Rippling Rhythms Orchestra. And then we have our final record, sadly. But thank you for listening anyway to Forgotten Songs.
on the river green. Then you will say that you love me and hold me so tight. But like the stars up above me, you fade away in the light. But when at last my dreams come true,
I'm going to just cut in there to Charles Chester, or as he later became Charlie Chester and appeared on British radio an awful lot in the 60s and 70s, because we really need to cut to our last record. As I say, thank you for listening to Forgotten Songs from the Broom Cupboard. You can check up about us on Thelma FM Facebook page or the Living Memory Association Facebook page. I'm going to finish on the Waterfront by somebody. This is a vocal version of the music from the film. This is Lorrae Desmond, who I really do like, and this goes out to Heather. It's her favourite film, or one of the favourites, and it's the Bob Sharples Orchestra. If you remember Opportunity Knocks in the 70s, he was the orchestra that played on that. It's a cracker. Thank you for listening.
and hope that